This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 394. We are 6 episodes away from 400, coming March 6th, 2021. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me once again this week is Edward and Kendra Hale. Hello.
How's it going?
It's going. Sometimes I wish it would stop, but it's going. It's limping along.
Isn't that the way, though?
Sadly, yes. We are diving back into the New 52 from DC Comics to talk about Batwing. This is our final, for now at least, Batwing coverage, because I still have not found if he's in Rebirth or if he will be in Future State. I have been looking at some of the Future State stuff, and it does have me interested, but I have so many other DC things to catch up. I'm basically going to be late to every single DC party because there is just way too much. I'm not even talking about 80 years ago till now. I'm talking about 5 years ago until now.
I'm on, I think, 4 of the titles between Dark Knight News and DC Comics News. So I'm swamped currently.
Uh-huh. Ain't that a thing, though?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to read whatever I can at the moment just to see if it's good.
Yeah. Again, that's, I say this all the time on this show. I think that's why I like waiting for the trade, because having the whole story will tell you if it's good or not, and then just judging it off of 1 or 2 issues that come out once a month. Like, you take the new Batman thing that they're doing. I have no idea. I know there's supposedly a new Batman. It's not Bruce. It's somebody else. I've looked at some things, but I haven't looked at everything. Okay, sure. The new Batman, great. You need to, do something different. You need to, quote-unquote, reinvent yourself and have Bruce do something different for a while or something. Sure, great. I'll give it a shot. But if it doesn't capture me or if it doesn't give me enough within the first 2 issues, I will wait. I am not spending. Especially because DC is like, hey, guess what? We're rebooting the universe, and we're going to give you all new number 1s at $6 a pop.
Actually, the next Batman's $7.99.
Okay, same. The point is, and I'm sure that's because it's a double issue, or it has to have more pages, because if it's not,
it's like, well, what they're doing with the next Batman, I think, is they had all these stories for surrounding stuff, peripheral stuff in the universe. Right. And they were like, we want to tell these stories. And they were like, we want you to tell these stories, but you're going to have to cram it into a backup story in the back of the issue, I guess.
I hate that.
Because the next Batman isn't just the next Batman. It's also the Outsiders and the Arkham Knights. Now, I've read the next Batman part of it, which felt really short, mind you, but I haven't read the other 2 parts of it yet. So I don't know if they're any good or not.
Well, I mean, and not all of them are like that. So some of the titles that they're doing have separate stories. So obviously Next Batman is one of them, and I can speak for the ones that I'm on. Green Lantern is broken into 3 different stories that you get to follow along with, whereas The Flash and Harley Quinn, for example, they're full-fledged stories. Like, they aren't broken into 3 different tellings. It is all one conclusive comic.
That's
right.
Cool. I need to sit down and read Harley and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, Harley is beautiful, and I know that Flash is gonna it's gonna fall into one of 2 categories. Either you're gonna have readers that absolutely love it and love where they're going, or they're gonna hate
it. Yeah. I don't like. I'm really, really skeptical on this because I would rather, I'm looking at the main Future State section on Comixology.com, and I know they're just first issues, and probably most likely after the first issue they'll be the standard $3.99 a piece kind of thing. But I am not paying $6, $7, $8 for a single issue. I'd rather pay, and I know this sounds silly, but I'd rather pay anywhere from $5 to $20 for a trade paperback that I can get, online and just wait for the entire story all at once. Like before we started doing the record for this episode, because I know you guys enjoy this, and at some point we will get to this, because thanks to a loyal fan and listener of ours, Scanner51 has given me, don't tell anybody, access to his DC Universe account, and I am adding all of the Palmiotti and Connor Harley stuff to my faves on my browser. So it's like, hey, I have content now. I can actually record podcasts again. Oh, good. Like,
that's a hell of a run, too.
Yeah. So, but for me, it's like, I can wait. I have no investment. I have no expectations. I try my best not to read other people's reviews unless, they're friends or that. Like, I'm not going to go over and see what Comic Book Resources has to fill in the blank to, write up an article just to say, oh, the new Batman is... Well, I don't need 7 pages or 7 paragraphs beforehand telling me the idea of Batman. Thank you very much.
Right. I do, but the only time I read these reviews is after I've already read the issue for myself.
Right, yeah.
And I can compare notes with, and I'm throwing air quotes around this, the professionals, that...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's what's kind of cool about DKN and DCN is we don't, when it comes especially to the newer arcs, we don't do spoilers. It's just literally the reactions that we have as passionate fan base. That's it. The only time you'll ever see a spoiler is if we're going like way back in the day, like for example, for Batwing. I mean, if we're going back in time, we'll throw a spoiler warning up, but
yeah,
at that point, if you haven't read it, read it before you read the review.
That's right. Listen, yeah, and then that's the thing with the show, with the podcast. It's like, I'm covering stuff that is, I'm so far behind, whether it's DC, whether it's IDW, whether it's Marvel, whatever. Chances are, hopefully, unless some of my listeners aren't reading TMNT from IDW or Transformers or whatever, I've waited so long because I wait for the trade that I'm like, okay, here's your spoiler warning. There are going to be spoilers in this podcast, even though this thing is X number of years old. This didn't just come out yesterday or last week or whatever. I just feel like it's free. It's more freeing for me to be able to talk about it without having to worry about, oh no, Batwing dies at the end. Oh my god.
Why'd you give away the twist, man? Come on. Exactly.
So we are here, and we are talking about Batwing Volume 5 from the New 52. This is Batwing Into the Dark, or, as I've affectionately termed it, Batwing Turn Off the Dark. Written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray, with Eduardo Pensica, Jason Masters, Scott Collins on pencils, Julio Ferreira, Jason Masters, and Scott Collins, along with J.P. Mayer are the inkers, Paul Mounts and Chris Stoudemire are the colorists, Taylor Esposito, Carlos Nangul, Desi Cinti, Travis Lanham are on letters, Dan Panosian is the collection cover artist. Oh boy, and of course, the first thing we start out with is a Darwin Cook cover for issue 27.
Before we get started, though, Scott Collins didn't get nearly enough pages in this. I love this man's work.
Yeah, he does good stuff.
Well, if you've read any Flash, like ever,
right?
Yeah, at some point you saw some Scott Collins artwork, and you're just like, "Damn, that looks awesome."
Yeah.
So sorry.
And I think that's part of the problem when you have multiple. And I know there's a difference between the penciler, the inker, the colorist, and everything else. I get that. But there are books out there, there are things out there that, and this isn't more so DC, it's more so IC. When IDW was doing their previous Transformers universe, they would have some issues where it would be like, this artist is going to be doing the past, this artist is going to be doing the present, and this artist is going to be doing the future. And it's like, all this meshing of art and awesomeness, but it's like, wow, I wish the past guy got more pages than the present guy, or blah, blah, blah.
I felt that way reading Infinite Crisis. They got Jerry Ordway to do the Earth 2 stuff, and I loved Ordway's work. And George Perez.
Yep.
Sorry, my classic guys were coming out.
So issue 27, this trade covers the final issues of this series, 27 to 34. Issue 27 starts off with a Darwin Cook cover of Batwing. I assume he's in the cave or he's somewhere in the city. He's on some ledge, but it's all purple, and obviously he's in his blue and black, and I just love these Darwin Cook covers. Oh, man. Yeah. That dude is so missed.
Right?
Ooh, just so missed. Yep.
Just made me all sad and shit. he's in Gotham. That's in the city.
Yeah. Yep.
I can pull it up for myself. I'm not looking at it on this end, but the vertical pink lines that run through the purple buildings, those are representative of the lights of the buildings.
Yep. Yeah, he is in the city. Yeah. So this issue is entitled Not All That Glitters. Oh, boy. And much like you, Ed, last time, I opened this and I'm like, wait a minute. Who the fuck is the Flying Fox?
Dude, I was so confused. I was ready for the fucking big-ass feast in Italy and all shit leaving off last trade, and they're like, Flying Fox. I'm like, why the hell does he look like fucking Batman Beyond? Where's Terry McGinnis at? Come on.
And then it's, welcome to Gothtopia. So this is their Gothtopia arc storyline where Gotham is essentially Metropolis. Because
I love this concept, though. I know we're at the beginning of it, and I know that going any further pushes us forward. But I really do like this concept, and I'll hold my why until we get there. But I just wanted that said. This is genius.
Yeah. Gotham City, America's safest city, America's happiest city, an almost completely crime-free utopia where dreams come true and everyone leads the life they want to lead. A place of sunny skies, safe streets, gleaming skyscrapers, and brightly costumed heroes. This has always been Gotham City, and if you want to survive, you have to believe. I don't think that's Casper's line, dude. Seeing is believing. Believing is seeing, not surviving. Wow, we're all going to turn into ghosts.
Now, this first page, when I started reading it, I kind of got an internal chuckle because I'm just like, oh, Batman kicked ass. Sweet. He got done. Sent everybody away. Cool. Gothtopia now.
Yeah. And then Batman went crazy. At least we do get part of what you were expecting, even though it's not Italian in Italy. It's Lucius and Luke and the family in the Wayne Skybox sharing some beers and stuff. Oh boy,
having a dad and son moment there.
Yeah, very, very cool.
I like that you get. I like between this page and the next page where you get to see them in the skybox. I like that you get this M. Night Shyamalan feeling once you've read this issue, because then coming back to you're like, I wish I'd have noticed that sooner.
Where's all the red at?
Yeah,
right? There's all the signature red pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see that there's all this stuff going on, and don't you see what they're doing to us? And it's like this futzing reality kind of thing between what is supposed to be and what actually is.
Yeah, it felt to me like the illusion was kind of wavering in the way they broke the panels to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess his bat training was, I could see something else, but
I don't
nobody's
know if I
mentioning
necessarily
that.
think of that. I mean, for me, it was, you could tell that he was, there was part of him that was like, this isn't right. I don't know necessarily if that's the bat training or if that's just his mind trying to be like, hey, dude, something's wrong.
Oh, I know, I was being facetious.
Yeah.
Training, but anybody who's going to throw on a costume and run around, jump off of roofs and shit is immediately going to have a bit better perception of stuff than I am. You're like, I can't see the edge of the roof. Why am I going to run at it?
Yeah, and the Flying Fox has to stop Lucius from killing himself. Want to be CEO of Wayne Enterprises? Get those resumes ready, because here we go. Every time I see those lines, I always think of Heath, and I always think of the Joker, because that's just what it is. So yeah, Batwing basically sprays Lucius in the face with some sort of antidote or something to get him to not kill himself. And he does inject himself with the antidote, and he's like, why was I calling myself the Flying Fox? What's going on here?
We went through all the good stuff, like the connection between the two flip-flop issues, where we get to see like his friend from years past finally getting...
Did his friend ever have a cool name?
I don't know if they ever do name him in this. Just
random guy that, worked with him in the place. And
yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
hey,
what I was talking about is before all of that.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh. I'm looking at the comic.
You skipped ahead.
You skipped ahead, you lie.
We're
at Miller time, and then you jumped ahead and get sprayed in the face.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like, dang.
Yeah.
Dad and son having a brewski. I mean, that's a moment there.
Mike's on some of the Scarecrow's stuff.
Apparently so. Probably, most likely. I don't know what I'm on or off anymore.
Neither do we.
It's kind of like that Five Finger Death Punch song. I'm a little bit off today.
That song is a copyright trademark of Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, and hence why I can't actually put it in this podcast. So, it is what it is. What were you guys thinking?
I could use some Tenacious D.
What were you guys thinking as we got into this one with all of this stuff going on?
Well, not to just kind of take over the mic and go first or whatever. I was going to let her go. But after the previous trade, I was waiting for a story to grab me and pull through the rest of it. And this first issue here was what I was waiting for. I'm like, all right, what the hell's going on? I need to figure this out. You got 6 issues to tell me what the hell's going on. And I burned these last 5 or 6 issues quicker than I did the first, volume.
Right, yeah.
It was definitely compelling. It had my curiosity. I'm like, all right, I see that you established in the issue that threw me for a loop in the last trade, but what you got? So let's see it. I'm going to turn it over to Kendra.
His name is Menace. That is his name. I had to look that up because it was bugging the absolute crap out of me. So, mine was basically what I said earlier. I'm glad that we finally went from flip-flopping storylines to now we're getting into the meat of what this was. And why we got that story that we did in number 0, where we got to meet Menace and see how basically his origin started.
Right.
And now we actually get to see him in action. And the fact that his actions are like crossing over Scarecrow's is really kind of cool, because like in the last podcast, you don't get to see a lot of the mainstay Batman villains. But to see, the after effects of what he's doing while Menace is also going forward with Ratcatcher and his plan, it's really nice to see that, because it sets the worlds up as though, they are exactly how they're supposed to be, where they're running simultaneously. So I loved that.
The fact that they actually made Ratcatcher menacing.
Right?
Because, it's freaking Ratcatcher, dude. Nobody's ever made him impressive.
He was quite creepy.
Yeah, I was like, damn. Where'd you get the creepy card from? Go on with your badass.
Oh man. Yeah, this was really fun until it wasn't. I'm not saying that because it's bad at all. It's very good because Jimmy and Justin, them on the writing along with the art from all the artists, they take this trade in a direction that I was not expecting, and I'm like, in a good way, oh, you sick sons of bitches.
Right.
Because, damn.
Yeah, that was my point exactly. I mean, like, I wasn't expecting the story to grab me first chapter into it, and then lo and behold, here it goes, and it was actually really good, and the art was on point.
They had me at the Spider-Man vibes.
Yeah, they are like. I'm
and then
waiting for
they're
his ass
bringing
to
in
work
tropes from like They're Alive. I'm waiting on Roddy Piper to show up
with
and
the
be
sunglasses.
like, right?
Yeah. I'm here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yeah.
But that way, I mean, it was really cool to see. I'm still stuck on that. I mean, that's how big of an impact it made for me. Is that you get to see this whole like crazy crap going on where the city is all in a state of haze because of Scarecrow, and then here in the background, you know something's coming. Like it just sets it up beautifully. Like we're just getting little pieces of menace for now, but you know that something is going down.
Yeah. And it's so good, and it's so fun, and so interesting, and I feel the artists in this issue were like, okay, you think this is a prototype Batman Beyond suit. We're going to amp that up to over 9,000 for you because we're going to make this blue bat thing glow because he's in the sewers at times and other play. And I'm like, okay, it's a little bit too much light. I get it. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I get he has to use the light.
Yeah, but his helmet should have some kind of a HUD to it where you can switch to night vision and thermal and all that jazz. So
yeah.
The light on the chest is more a distraction than anything else, honestly.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? Here's something about this issue, because I know we're getting ready to come up on this part of it. This is the issue where if Lucius Fox really, really, really before, this is the one where this man who is touted as one of the smartest men in DC continuity should have figured it out.
Yeah, he should have.
It's like Peter Parker going up to Aunt May in costume and being like, I got you. Okay. You should have figured that out, A, by your smell, B, by the tone of your voice. You know, I got this.
Yeah.
It's that thing that people always used to argue about with Clark Kent and the glasses. How nobody really knew.
Dude, it actually took Grant Morrison to explain that to me. No, because he actually did a breakdown of what Superman does, and he had Frank Quitely do the sketches of it for All-Star Superman. And he flips his hair to the other side, he puts on the glasses, he actually slouches a lot. So he's actually a full foot shorter than Superman is when he's doing it. And it makes him fat. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Grant Morrison, for actually explaining why I shouldn't recognize Superman with glasses on.
Well, then he's really lucky that he's got superpowers, because that would cause some serious osteoporosis.
Well, I mean, he's Superman. He lives in the sun, for Christ's sakes.
I understand.
He doesn't really live in the sun.
According to Grant Morrison, he does after All-Star Superman, and that's the only continuity I give a shit about Superman.
You know what the funny thing is, and I made this joke years ago on our cartoon podcast, GeekCast, when we covered the film version of that. It basically means it's ass. That's what it is. All-Star Superman is ass.
That's fighting words, bro.
I'm just saying, because of the All-Star Superman, the acronym for it is ass.
Okay, but still.
I'm not saying the comic or the content is actual ass. I'm just saying.
Get your address real quick, and I'll be there.
Sure you will.
We ain't driving that far.
I believe we're under travel restrictions.
Probably.
Well, I'm a fucking rebel.
No, we are not.
All right, so where the heck are we in this comic?
Batwing.
Sorry.
Yes.
We're at him giving his dad the spray, the antidote.
The antidote. Right. Yep. He's like, "Oh, how would you know how many shots I needed?" And this is kind of like the whole thing about, who are you? How did you know? Blah 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 blah. And his Batwing's explanation is, my boss is kind of an anal retentive. He likes to know everything.
Fair.
Yeah, and the thing is if you know who his boss is, then you're immediately like, yeah, you're right. He knows what Superman had for breakfast this morning.
Uh-huh.
See, but this is it. This is the moment. This right here is the moment. That's strange, because I have a wife and 3 children, but you've only given me 3 syringes and not 4.
Oh,
winner, chicken dinner.
I'm going to go out and find your other son, who I think I know where he's at, and I'll take care of him, even though I don't have any more syringes on me.
Right?
Batman's already on that. Why would he be on that one, just randomly?
And then it just ends up, well, I'm going to have to talk to Batman about this. Okay,
Yeah.
my boss. Let me get him.
Jonah.
And then we get into the whole thing where Tam didn't come home last night, and oh man,
this was so damn heavy.
It was so heavy, and it gets heavier and heavier throughout the rest of this. Ooh.
This is why I'm so, and I understand that Justin and Jimmy understand our pain as well, but this is right here is what starts the ball rolling for me being pissed at the series.
It's not so much that I'm pissed at the series, I'm pissed that it didn't continue after this.
Right. There we go. That's putting it 100% perfectly.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not upset with the story that they created for this. I don't know what, and I'm sure, and we'll talk about this more so at the end of the thing than now, and I'm sure once I promote this podcast episode and tag Justin and Jimmy and something else, and maybe they'll take a listen to it like they listened to the last one, but we'll talk about their notes about our last podcast at the end of this show. Yeah, Tam got kidnapped by the rat catcher, essentially.
Basically.
Oh boy. And that's how we end the first chapter here. Lost but not found. Oh boy. We begin the next one with a whole bunch of stuff with Menace here. Wait, is that Menace? Or yeah, that is Menace.
Yeah, that's Menace.
That's Menace, yeah.
What a brilliant name.
What'd you say?
War from Darkseid.
I said, what a brilliant name.
What do you here do? Call us Menace. I'm Menace, what do you mean?
I do like that they show him here, and I do like that they kind of show what he's kind of doing, but I also love that we now get to the police station and Commissioner Gordon's like, we have to act here. Normal channels and tactics aren't working and all of that. And I love this whole argument about what they're going to do and what they have to do.
I was waiting on him to drop the F-bomb in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
Because this just seemed like the perfect moment for him to be like, look, I don't fucking care. Just get it done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would have died laughing if I heard that in the middle or read that in the middle of my comic.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, finally! Finally!
The whole
F-bomb.
Yeah, and the whole time in this scene, I'm like, oh, nice to see you again, Gary Oldman. Because this was around the time when he was kind of, a big deal as Commissioner Gordon, or at least Jim Gordon. He wasn't necessarily commissioner. Well, no, he was commissioner. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, commissioner by the end of the second movie.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about those movies. Begins, I'm not a big fan of it until it gets to like the last like 20 minutes when he actually, because I've seen the race stuff before. I've seen Scarecrow before. I know how Batman became Batman. I just want to see him in the suit. So I'll watch like the last 10 or 20 minutes of it, and then I'll go right into Dark Knight. That's just me.
I love the Begins, though, because, I mean, you get the scene where he shows up and he takes out all the goons and then pulls what's-his-nuts out of the car and he's like, I'm Batman. That's a nice coat, and shit like that. And Dude Man with his falafel in the alleyway, that was great. So,
yeah.
Christian Bale did a good job as Batman, but, it's not comic accurate Batman.
He ate a little bit too much gravel in my mind, but yeah.
Well, I understood that part of it because he was trying to disguise his voice, because anybody who talked to Christian Bale / Bruce Wayne would have been like, oh, so Bruce Wayne is Batman. Awesome, okay. That's why he's like, hi, I have a really deep voice for no apparent reason. I have cancer, throat cancer. All the throat cancers.
Oh, please. No, don't joke about that.
No, I'm not
I know.
making light of throat cancer. Just
No. I know you're not. So we get to this gang scene, and Batwing breaks in. I'm not Batman. That starts here with the I'm not Batman bit.
Batman, I'm not Batman.
Batman's got a mouth.
I love some of these gangsters. Yo, what do we look like? Google? No, Google looks better than you, dude.
I love that he's got quips, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the Peter Parker influence here.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, because he isn't Batman, he needs to be his own person. Like we talked about last week in episode 393, he does the sarcasm and the funny and the everything else, and Batman's just like, stop it. But because this isn't just another person as Batman, it's a different character. It's creating his own character. Even though there was a Batwing before Luke took on the mantle, he has to figure out for him to fit. Like we were talking last week about how he is constantly improving the suit to make it work for him.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that fits here. And I love go ahead.
No, I was saying I agree.
Yeah, I love in this gang beat 'em up scene. I love that he has a Scorpion moment from Mortal Kombat. Get over here!
Yeah, somebody's a Mortal Kombat fan who wrote this issue. So, Jimmy, Justin, whichever one of y'all it is, I give you the thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so good, and the art is so good between the backgrounds and the characters. And this whole weaving storyline of the rats see everything and they have to report back to the rat catcher.
It's creepy as a bitch at that in that last page. Sitting there in his bondage gear / sewer stuff.
Yep.
Not quite Batman.
Yeah, someone call him not quite Batman.
What do you think about this so far, Kendra?
I love it. I love that we finally get to see him. Like, this is kind of one of his beginning defining moments. I mean, it's very personal for him as a superhero because it involves his sister. And of course, everything's going to be more on the line because he has something personal at stake rather than just his pride and showing off and saying, hey, I can do this without the training wheels. So, I mean, this one shows who he is. I mean, like you said, he's got a line where he's like, I'm not Batman. And he continues to monologue to the point where he's like, this is not stuff that Batman would do to those things that he's doing in the middle of the fight. He's like, Gotham needs to recognize I am not Batman.
Yeah.
And that harkens back to David as well. I mean, he gave up being Batwing because he wanted to do things his own way, and that the suit and being in Batman's organization wasn't for him. He could not function inside of it.
Right.
And this is Luke trying to figure out how to do that his way.
Yeah. And then we get the family shots. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out, and you know, Tanya is the only one not freaking out. She's like, I've been holding it together because I don't want Tiff to lose hope that we'll find her sister. And she goes off and she's going to go put up posters everywhere. And Luke is like, you should go after Mom. Right. That's not what she wants right now.
I mean, this adds just another layer to this book. I mean, we've gotten to see him in the previous trade beginning to deal with what being a hero means in terms of also having his real life.
Yeah.
And then now we get this lovely other layer with Luke and Lucius and his wife.
Yeah.
Where she's had it. Like this is serious for her. This is absolutely devastating and not something that most marriages come back from. So for him to just kind of give her space to walk off, it's heartbreaking, and it just adds on to that heaviness.
Yeah. And we get the neighbor that they sent Tiffany to, and he comes running up with his own daughter, and I'm sorry, Lucius, it killed Roger, and oh god, it took her. He was huge monster, my poor Roger. He just ripped through the house. And Luke just runs off, and Lucius is like, Luke, I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
So kudos to the LGBT inclusivity there. Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Yeah.
But then they're also amping up what's already basically been amped. And now we have Tiffany, who's gone as well. So now we have both daughters missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of them's a child.
Yeah, not good.
So, investment points are there.
Yeah. And basically, the end of this issue, Master Torres was right. He basically gave himself away.
Oh, yeah.
Russell?
100% gave himself up. This was the best,
He was calling him out, dude.
Pretty much, yeah.
My gosh. This was the biggest FU in the issue. Because this is Zero coming full fruition. And, I mean, they're literally setting Russell up to be a paramount character that's in Batwing. So I like it.
Right.
Absolutely. And now we're going down to the underground. We pick up on the bridge here. And what's going on? Yeah, so it's the bridge. Everybody's on the bridge, and Batman's saying he's out of control, and Alfred tells him the young man is in pain and likely terrified for his family, Master Bruce. It is the reason I questioned your choosing, young Mr. Fox. Batcave looks really creepy.
Just slightly.
If that is the Batcave and not some other facility somewhere in the middle of Chicago or something, I don't know. But
this Batcave updates every 6 months.
Yeah, that's true.
They've already proven there's other bunkers.
Yeah, well,
that's true.
Got the extra bunkers around the city.
Holy crap, look at that bat plane. I'm just going to call it a bat plane because it doesn't look like a bat wing.
Nah, it looks like a bat jet.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, where was that action figure back when this was coming out?
Dude, I love that Alfred is, I mean, he usually is in most of the Batman canon, but I really like how they put at the forefront that he is he's the voice of reason for Bruce.
Absolutely. He has to be because there's nobody else. I mean, there are other people in the Bat family, but most of them are not going to be able to talk to Bruce Wayne, to Batman, the way that Alfred does. I mean,
Without getting punched in the mouth.
Well, and in a lot of places you'll see that he still technically will wear the kid gloves when talking with Bruce, even especially when he's Batman. But in this one, no, it's no holds bar, and I love that. I love that he is direct and right to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, absolutely.
I want to make about Tom King right here, but I'm not going to.
Why?
Tom King killed Alfred. Moving on.
I just don't understand. Like, anyway.
I'm not gonna speak to what I haven't read yet, so.
I haven't read it either, but I know that he did it, and that's what happens in it, and no.
But it's not the first time.
But he's dead.
I understand. I really do.
It is the first time he's been dead. Dead.
Right, but it's not the first time there's been, like, a whole panic about Alfred being dead.
I mean, I haven't read it yet either, and I want to eventually. But as long as he didn't give him McGregor syndrome, I guess I'll be alright with it.
Right, as long as it's like an honorable death, I'm down.
Dude, he's tied to a chair and he gets his neck snapped by Bane.
Well, okay, thanks for ruining that for the rest of the class. Appreciate you.
Spoilers, much.
Well, it's a spoiler podcast, so my bad.
I know.
It's all over damn social
media. You're not
media,
supposed to use my own podcast against me, damn it. Hell,
Move on. Back to Batwing.
So we get to the amusement park and a bunch of drunk kids doing weird stuff, and this cart comes through the Bear's Head or Monsters Ride's Head or whatever. And we see this cart and holy crap, look at her. We have to get her help. She's just some homeless druggie. No, look at her. She's that missing girl from the news. What's her name? Tamra Fox.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Plays an episode of like Young and the Restless or something for a second.
The role of Tamra Fox will now be played by. Yes. Oh man. This hospital scene is heart-wrenching. Like, I think I cried from this point until the end of the book. Honestly, every time the whole family stuff happens, it's just so, like, between his mom reacting, his dad reacting, and Luke is reacting in his own way, but he's also trying to be strong for his family, and he's more about, even though I'm, sad at this and whatever else, I have to do something. But like, he storms off, and lo and behold, a 25-year-old Bruce Wayne shows up. I swear to God, he does not look the age that he is supposed to be for this.
Bruce walks in, style and profile.
Yep. Red tie.
This one was bad. This was a really heavy hitter. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that I was actually looking it up, and I was like, when was the last time something hit me this hard? And I honestly think I haven't been hit by something so hard in DC continuity since Kyle Rayner and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I have not read that, so I will have to. Again,
I will be nice and not spoil it. No, I will be nice and not spoil it.
I'm not spoiling it either, but it led to a phrase that is now commonly circled through comic continuities, which is ridiculous. So,
or even Heroes in Crisis. Oh, you know what? I'll give Heroes in Crisis that distinction, because that one, I know that I'm going to hear the groaning, so I'm going to bring Tom King in a good light, because I loved Heroes in Crisis, and that one was a heavy story, and this reminds me a lot of that, because they don't pull it back for this hospital scene. Yeah. The doctor makes he's just out forward and blunt about what Tamara's condition is.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to read these few panels.
She's going to require lifelong care.
Yeah.
It's just so heart-wrenching. And
the artwork there too. Looking at Fox's wife, I mean, her face is just. She looks like she hasn't had sleep for weeks. She looks exhausted, and it's heartbreaking.
I almost thought for a second there, this is the panel that I was talking about where Luke he has the tear in his eye, he has the tear running down his face, and then the next panel of him is him storming off before Bruce comes in, but that panel of him in the background, them in the foreground with her crying and everything else, I'm like, oh God, I almost thought Lucius's glasses were cracked. Like the way the drawing is done, the way the pencils are done and the colors and the inks, it almost looks like his glasses are fractured. They're not, but at least it does to this old blind fool. I mean, it's so heart-wrenching. And then I love his monologue as he's gone and he's now Batwing. I'm so angry, I have to act. I just can't sit still. The police won't find anything useful. They don't have the right equipment. But me, I can go to the dark places. And, down the hatch. And I don't want to insult anyone, but these guys wouldn't find a clue right under their noses. And as he's doing this, he's using his invis, and I love it. It's so cool.
That's what I was talking about with that heads-up display, man. He's got all those weapons in there, so he shouldn't need a light on his chest.
Yep, exactly, even though it's still there.
He uses his light for.
Yeah.
You see him use it a couple of times, and it's actually quite practical because it's like a stun grenade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very cool. We go back to the hospital. You tell him I want my child back, Bruce. I want her safe from the animals that did this to Tamra. Mr. Fox, please let go. That was one of the police women. Tell Batman to find her. Everyone is doing what they can, Lucius. My Tam is a vegetable, Bruce. I don't think I've ever seen Lucius this broken.
Yeah, this is another one.
It's just so good. And again, as I said last week, if they ever do an animated film of these stories, this whole arc specifically, you have to get Morgan Freeman back to voice the character, because holy crap, I hear nothing but Morgan Freeman every time I read Lucius in this book.
I understand that. Yeah,
yes.
We're going to be the voice of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, Batman related.
Yeah.
But it also shines a light on something, at least for me, because I mean, I'm a huge Criminal Minds fan, and one of the things that you hear in a couple of the episodes, especially when something absolutely horrific happens to a family like the Foxes, is, we see this happen to other people's families, but I never thought this would happen to us.
Right.
And before reading this series, that held true for me. I always, for whatever reason, held the Foxes like up on a pedestal, and they would never ever get like any
tragedy
on their life aside from what Batman brought.
Yeah, that tragedy wouldn't touch them.
Right, and then you read this, and it's just like it just hits all the harder because it just reinforces that saying that nobody in Gotham City is safe, and at any time anyone could be touched.
Yeah. And again, that's the thing about comics, is that story, you have the medium, you have the momentum, editorial or not. I fully believe, even though this was their last thing with Batwing, I could be completely wrong, and Jimmy and Justin can tell me I'm wrong in saying this. I think they were able to tell a story that they wanted to tell and give us these emotional beats. You get, a couple of the I actually, as of this recording, by the time people hear the episode, it'll already be up. I just posted all the screen caps, the screenshots of last week's episode that I had taken for reference points. And a lot of last week's episode, a lot of Volume 4 is as we said then, Luke finding his way, Luke learning things, Luke being the quippy person that he is. And this just basically says, okay, last week was the comedy. This week is the tragedy. And it's so good.
It's so horrible to say that, but it is. Like, this is what a well-written tragedy looks like.
Yeah.
So brava for that, because this is exactly what you expect in a good lead-up.
Yeah. And the thing about Luke going to the Gotham Underground is he has to once again learn how the underground works versus up top.
Right, because nobody knew this was even here, which is even possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold on a second. I wanted to get into this because this was kind of one of the things that I thought was a little funny about the issue. I'm like, this is Gotham, okay? Batman, as he has said in numerous issues, is he knows every inch of this damn city and what's below it. And then we found out in his New 52 run that he didn't know everything that was down there because there was the Court of Owls bases or whatever hidden about the city.
Yeah.
Now there's a whole other city below his city that he didn't know about? I mean, come on. That's a little bit far-fetched there, guys.
It is a little bit far-fetched for Batman to not know how
it's happened during the earthquake or something. Or
yeah.
Backstory I don't know about.
Yeah.
So that's just.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. But that's Batman doesn't know. And he probably should know. But Luke goes down there as Batwing and, he saves the little girl on his way down there. And he uses, like you guys said earlier, his, I guess I'll call it a ultra bright light bright on his, his Batwing light bright on his chest. I don't know what to, flash effect, whatever you want to call it, to kick some ass. And he's
Sunlight.
There you go. Stunlight. There you go. I think ultra cool light bright is much better for Batwing, but whatever.
Well,
right. He has his own theme song at least.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe Glowworm.
Yeah.
Glowworm, oh my god. And he's looking for the person who took Tam. Tiffany as well. But, he's looking for the person that took Tiffany, and he's like, wrong answer, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, you're from Gotham above? You don't know how deep in the hole you are. Don't care. You should care. This isn't like up top. We have to go before more come. I can deal with more. Is that so? Kill him. Oh, man. Gotham Underground's huge.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just like...
Well, and I mean, even Menace has kind of given us a little bit of a heads up for what to expect with the Underground, because he says that he's got all of these gangs that he's solidified under himself. I think it was 5 or 6 gangs?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows how large these 5 or 6 gangs are. Plus, you've got all these people who, for one reason or another, maybe had no affiliation with the gang or with Menace or Ratcatcher, any of that just wanted to leave Gotham and somehow found out about this place, and now they're there. So,
yeah.
But how did Batman not know? That's what I'm saying. I keep coming back to this.
Sometimes Batman's a dunce.
But it even says it here too. He's like, how is this possible? How does no one know? Because when it showed that beautiful panel earlier with Menace, it shows this underground city being like as above, so below with Gotham City, and being the same size as it. So it's like, how?
Bruce, you've been holding out on us, bro.
Right? Like, my gosh.
Of course he has. I mean, he's Bruce Wayne.
City underneath our city.
Nobody needs to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or he's got enough stuff up top to deal with it. He was just like, look.
Fuck it.
You want your own city, Batwing? Here you go.
Give him the sub-city.
That's right. Subway sandwiches not included.
Damn.
So...
story right there. No Subway included. Damn it.
That's right. Damn it.
Patrol the night.
So Batwing gets captured here as we close out this issue, and he ends up in the water, and he's got to get to the laser cutter, and then the monster appears out of nowhere. Well, out of the water, but essentially out of nowhere.
Giant prehistoric fish monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, could be worse. It could be a giant prehistoric rat monster or something.
Yeah, true.
I guess. Oh.
They're channeling their Aquaman on this one here.
Yes, they are. A little bit.
Where's Arthur when you need him? He's out saving the fishies.
I don't think this is a fish you should save, though.
That's a fish you should sick on some bitches that, you know, you don't like very much.
Yeah, I love part of his monologue here. The fish is just being a fish. All it does is swim and eat. Today it picked the wrong meal. I should feel bad, but I don't. I love it.
That's a big ass fish, though.
Yeah, it is. And he gets washed up on another. Well, he actually comes out of the water there, and he's talking about a ghost wearing his sister's face, and now that he's taken the younger sister. And what kind of a monster kidnaps a first grader?
Right.
All right. And, like you guys mentioned earlier, there are cultures down here. There's a whole society. There's just everything everywhere. And it's so interesting. And once again, he has to use the invis, and I love it. Oh, it's so cool.
I love these speaker people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their gang's name is. I don't know if we actually ever get a name for their gang. But they're just all speaker heads, and a happy worker is a productive worker.
Yep.
So it's some Bioshock Infinite shit going on.
Well, they've already brought in Fallout too with the Nuka-Cola caps.
Right. Need some more caps, man.
So somebody's just a gamer.
Right.
Yeah.
I respect that a lot.
I do.
Because I've played all these games religiously.
Of course. And, he's still trying to find his sister. And we actually get to a point where we see Tiffany. She's with the rat catcher.
Poor girl.
Poor girl. I think this is the only time in the entire comic I actually feel sorry for the rat catcher. Go away, smelly rat man.
This little girl got to be around this creepy, leather-wearing, rat-speaking dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he smells bad, too, so...
Yep.
I feel bad for her on that respect.
Yeah, and Menace is there, and he says, this is your brother's fault. I want you to know that. We used to be friends, although I've come to believe that's not entirely true. I think, more than anything, he took pity on me for being weak and scared. I'm neither of those things now. You look like a monster. I do, don't I?
Creepy bastard.
Yeah. And, of course, he's more interested in killing her brother than killing her. And like we said earlier...
What was so different about Tiffany?
Huh?
What was so different about Tiffany that he didn't have the same type of plan for her that he did for Tamara? Why hurt one of them and not the other?
I don't know. Maybe Menace was behind the second one and knew that it would get him in or something like that. I don't know. It didn't really
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not wishing any harm coming onto a first grader. I'm
True.
just saying it makes me ponder a little bit more because, both of these were equally effective hits at the Fox family, most especially Luke.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing is because it's the kid Russell that he used to know, and he's turned into his basically his arch nemesis. He says it here. I'm more interested in killing your brother. What I did to your sister must be driving him insane. So he intentionally did that to Tam to get Batwing to get Luke down there, and. Tiffany says, what if he said he was sorry? Would you leave us alone then? You're cute, kid. I miss being young and stupid enough to think all of our problems could be solved with a word like sorry. No, this can only be solved with fear and injustice. So, I don't know why he picked the other one over the other one, but I see why he did it to the point of getting Luke down there and, on the hunt for him.
Mental torture, and I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a little bit more sense to me now, but...
Yep.
There's always a but.
Yeah, there's always a but. I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, if we're going all in, let's go all in. You've already done something that's absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have this whole Mother of Anubis scene thing, and I'm like, do we really, I get it, these gangs are all gonna fight each other and whatever else, but, come on. I don't mind fight scenes, but I don't see what this is, other than to flesh out the story of the Underground. I don't see what this is adding to the overall Batwing story here.
It was probably for fleshing out the Underground.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then it kind of leads up to Russell and Luke finally having that face-to-face. I don't know why it takes Mother Anubis to do that, but... Reasons.
Aliens.
Yeah, he's taking the mother. Stop him. We're going for a walk.
Right.
We're down. You're a dead man now. Boy. So, what do you guys like or dislike to this point of the story, Kendra?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I've liked the amount of action that's in it. I like that it's been on par with the story. I mean, it isn't just there for it being their sake, except for the Anubis part. But even that kind of makes sense to me, because I wouldn't have wanted him to find Russell immediately, so there has to have been some filler.
What's up, boss?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Anubis clan fits that. It gives you a good intro as a reader into what the Underground is like, what kind of gangs we're dealing with, what the rules or non-rules are for this case. So, I mean, it does have, it serves its purpose. And the whole, like we've all been saying, the heaviness that has hit this family, the personal tragedy that we're seeing, where he's either going to shine or he's going to, let's just put it the way that it is. This is the point where most people would choose whether they're going to be a hero or a villain. This is a defining moment. And we're getting to see that for Batwing and see which way he's going to go.
Yeah, he even says at one point in this next issue that, you know, he's the one that pumped my sister full of drugs and you know, that ate her mind, also kidnapped my baby sister Tiffany. I have to kill him.
Right.
You know, whether he does it or not is another thing, but
yeah, because it's a huge line cross.
Oh yeah, it is a huge line cross.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Menace has made this so personal anyway. Like, even, you know, just leading his whole plan leading up to this, like, he, you know, I don't want to say fired the first shot, but I guess I'll phrase it that way. And,
well, it's true. I mean, it
is, and that's something I guess that I like. That's something that's different with Menace as a villain versus the atypical that we're used to, because you have villains that'll fall into categories that they'll do it for just the sheer fun of doing it. Mm-hmm. You have ones that have a plan, and you have ones that just go headlong without any plan at all. And with Menace, not only does he have a plan, but he jumps right into it. Like, there is no, I'm going to mess with the citizens of Gotham. There is none of that. It's just, here I am, here's my end game, let's do this.
Yeah. There is no,
a countdown of victims that will end at midnight, unless our dear Dark Knight stops me first.
Right. I mean, he goes right for the jugular, and you know what? I don't want to say I applaud the villain, but I applaud the route to it, because it's not what you normally see.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so good, and that's what makes you, not that we were never going to care about this character, but that's what makes you care about them even more. And we get to a point where, Batwing is kind of tied up in these ropes and whatever else. Where's the kid? Why do you care? The world is full of children. Did the Fox family hire you to find their brat? Is that it? How does someone hire a bat in shining armor? So it isn't even to the point yet and I don't remember, and we'll find out as we get there, but if he even finds out that Luke is Batwing, so he doesn't know, but Batwing knows that it's Russell. Right.
So he's got the high ground.
Yeah. Quite literally, too.
Mm-hmm.
Running on pure adrenaline. Yeah. Russell's kind of a freak, oh my god, he's freaking smiling.
Right. Well, I mean, and Russell, literally, he shows quite quickly that he holds no allegiance to these gangs. They are the red shirts. He does not care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he doesn't care at all. He only cares about hurting Luke Fox and killing him. That's all he cares about.
Right. And, I mean, he instantly makes enemies of the Anubis boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it just feels like that was his plan all along, because here they are
Yeah.
He's in my territory. He just doesn't care. He's just like, why do you don't have territory without me? But he doesn't even have to say it that way. He's just like, you're dead. Oh.
And then we get a scene that most often in comics you don't see, but I'm glad they put it in here. We go back to the Fox family mansion, and they're taking care of Tam, and she's in a wheelchair, and Tanya is just furious at the whole thing. I don't have the answers. The police are doing what they can. And what about Bruce Wayne? Is he doing all he can? Did he ask Batman to help us? And I swear to God, I hear Morgan Freeman. Sweetheart, why don't you take Tam up for her bath? I'll call Commissioner Gordon again and see if there's any news. And again, the internal monologue for Lucius, I'm losing my wife. I can see it in her eyes. The pain is too much for her to bear, and it's turning to rage. We have this, it's such a thing where, you have Lucas going through all of this, and you have him doing this stuff, and it's like, wow, just, so good.
Well, I mean, and for me, one of the other things that hits really hard is with this scene specifically, you get to see not only what's going on the daily life that they're now having to learn to adapt with the way that Tamara is, but you're getting to see two sides of the same coin. Lucas is he's having the ability to get some of this stuff out of his system by taking on Menace one-on-one and get some of that aggression and anger out of his system. Nobody else in the Fox family is able to. They're keeping this face up, and even with Mrs. Fox, she's the only person that she can take her rage out on currently is Lucius.
Yeah. And we get, we get Lucius doing his whole, he's going through everything. I'll pray for Tiffany, Luke, Tam, and Tanya. And he has this whole internal monologue as he's going to his car and he's going to go do whatever he does. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but the scene cuts again back to the Gotham Underground, the lair of the Ratcatcher. And we see Tiffany trying to figure stuff out, and she's, a genius like the rest of them, and she finds this. I assume it's a nail file or something, but it's basically a sharp object. She basically puts it in her shoe. Hey, Ratman, I need to use the bathroom. Don't talk to Batman that way. I need to go real bad. You're disgusting. Where's the bathroom? This way, dearie. Ugh. I ate the cleaning lady. Seriously, you use this? Don't you even have toilet paper? I'm not supposed to take you out of here.
In toilet.
Yeah, I mean,
gross.
It's it just no.
I'll hold it.
Yeah. And go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I said I would need a tetanus shot just looking at the damn thing. So
that was creepier than almost anything Menace did. Almost.
Yeah, because there's got to be a reason it got that way.
Yeah.
Apparently, Taco Bell is Menace's menace.
So we get out into the underground because Ratcatcher needs to find a bathroom for Tiffany, and he runs into this guy and, hold up, you, I think she wants to be rid of ya. One warning, because bad things gonna happen, Butcher Man. And Ratcatcher has his hand on Tiffany's head. She stabs him in the kneecap, the back of the kneecap. And poor dude that tried to save her got killed by the Ratcatcher, though, sadly.
Stabs him in the face.
I know. Oh. And we get back to Batwing fighting with Menace, and he deserves so much pain. After what you did to Tam, God only knows where Tiff is. You were never going to tell me anything. I'm sure you'll be back, Russell. And he does make his decision. I want you to die, but I'm no killer. Well, I mean, he didn't exactly save him from the fish, but...
Yeah. Giant prehistoric fish makes its return, and then
it's one of those. I'm not a killer, but I don't have to save you either.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fish noms on Russell.
Yep.
Yum, yum.
And then family is everything is the final. What do we think about the whole rest of the fight with Menace and all of that and Tiffany's escape and everything, Kendra?
I don't think it's over.
Oh, no.
Because it wouldn't be good if it was.
Well, I mean, Menace coming up out of the water at the end of the issue is kind of a dead giveaway that it's not over.
Well, I mean, that, and this is somebody who's pieced themselves back together after being blown apart. So I'm pretty sure that a little nosh from a fish wasn't going to take him down.
True.
Yeah. But
Thankfully.
I do like the Tiffany.
Yeah. Thankfully they didn't end the series on this issue with Menace coming out of the water. That would have been a real FU from editorial.
You're like, you're not allowed to finish your story. What? The hell? We were doing so good. Fan response was amazing. Yeah, about that.
As much as I love all of the other covers, the Darwin Cook ones specifically, this next one is my favorite cover of the entire Luke Fox run because it's just so good. And it's done by Amanda Connor and Paul Mounts. Or Mounts. Sorry, Paul. I just love this. The whole shattering of the family with Batwing in the center, Batman at the top, and all of the Fox family surrounding it. Oh, it's so good.
Ooh. Technical difficulties. Let's move on, shall we?
Family is everything. And we start off with them running. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread girl. So the rat catcher is going after Tiffany. And then...
guy who got stabbed in the knee, he's running really well.
Yeah, that's
There's
a little
no blood.
Yeah, no, there's no blood. I wonder where he got his patch job at, but
Miraculous healing abilities given to me by the glowing rat on my head.
He took a stim pack.
There you go.
I mean, it has been a month between issues. I mean, I guess he could have healed, but seeing as how we're doing this in all in one, it really hasn't been a month.
Right?
You've been chasing that kid for a while.
Like,
Yeah.
damn, she should be exhausted.
Right?
Poor little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Got more stamina than anybody in any book ever.
Yep. And we see a lone bat figure at the top of the ladder. You're safe. I'm Batwing. Come with me. I can get you back to your family. She's not going anywhere. Sure, she's not. Love that we open with this action scene with Tiffany, more on her escape. I love the mystery of Batwing to her, not necessarily to us, because obviously we already know. And then we cut to Wayne Tower.
Yep. Lucius sitting there staring out the window.
Thinking about Tiffany.
Right.
And then having this really, really, really bad ending to it. That's not good.
Yeah, no.
And
Yeah, that's true. I would have woke up right then.
yeah, I hate those dreams. Hate them. It's like, what the hell just happened? So he gets a call, and Tiffany is home safe. Luke is with Tam. He's watching over her, but Tiffany is home safe, and we get back to how Tiffany got home safe.
Yeah.
And I don't know you. Everyone here scares me. I'm friends with Batman. Are you crazy? He's totally scary.
Babes.
I love that because, again, most adults, let alone children, are scared of Batman. I mean, especially, you think about the time that this was made, and Batman wasn't really bright and shiny in the comics. He's still dark and brooding like he's supposed to be. So he finally does convince her to go along with him by doing something that I was not expecting. Because she constantly doesn't believe him. She doesn't want to go with him. Stranger danger, stranger danger. And hey, I'm all for this kid, screaming stranger danger, even though she doesn't. But, he says, Tiffany, you have to come with me. I'm begging you, kid. No way. Tiff, it's me. Luke, we'll talk later. Let's move. And I love that she is the only one that he reveals to that he's Batwing. Besides, the rest of the Bat family knowing, but in his immediate family, at times I kind of wish Lucius would have figured it out or known or whatever, but I'm glad he doesn't.
Still scratching my head on that one.
Yeah.
It would have made it a lot easier on him and his family, for that matter.
Yeah, it would have. And Lucius asks her at the hospital, so Batman saved you? He didn't say his name. He had a bat on his chest. That's all I remember. I love love that so much.
She reminds me of a little girl from Shazam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a good sister.
Yeah. And we see that Luke is taking care of Tam, and they're at church, and he's, going through his internal monologue, asking God, what's, why this? How is this part of your plan for me, for us, my family? I brought Tam to you just in case you're too busy with the rest of the world's problems to realize what happened to my sister. Maybe I damned myself. Maybe we were supposed to allow suffering and pain by turning the other cheek. I couldn't do it. Why would he make a monster like Russell? Tam didn't deserve this. No one does. Again, they mix and they do a really excellent job of it. They mix the emotional scenes with the action scenes. And it's not just Batwing and this is what I love about comics. You can tell stories like this and like what we had last week so well without having to adhere to a 22-minute cartoon standard of, we can only fit so much in these 22 minutes. And even though this trade is only 5, 6, 7, or whatever it is, 27 to 34, there's so much to enjoy here, whether it's good moments or bad moments. It's still so very wonderfully done.
But we're in full agreement. I mean, these guys were able to put together in what I assume, because I didn't count the pages, what I assume is just a normal 24-page comic. They were able to give you compelling stories with really good characters that you were able to not only get the impact of what was going on, but you were able to relate with, whether it's with other characters or with other stories, to what they were going through. And for me, it was a really good experience. I'm really sad that this didn't continue, because this build-up, it felt like this was more of a launching point than an end.
It felt like it was a full-on just origin story for Batwing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
could have led this in the first trade, and I'd have been like, oh, okay, I'm down. I understand Batwing better now.
Right?
Yeah. And we get to a point where he's Batwing again, and he has to save a family, and, it's Batman. Actually, kid, it's Batwing. Batman! Everyone okay? Yes, thank you. Have a good night. And we get him meeting up with Batman. Where were you? Taking care of my family. I could have helped. How do you do it?
Isn't that the question of the frickin' Bat era?
Yeah. How do you deal with the insanity of what happens in this city by fighting back? Did you think this was a game, Luke? No, but I sure as hell didn't think my sister would be lobotomized, or that one of my friends would turn into the monster that did it to her. I'm sorry about Tam, but the fact that you're Batwing isn't what put her in harm's way. Everyone in Gotham is in danger. I'd never lose sight of that. You know what I think? What? I don't think you have anything personal at stake. Whatever made you happened a long time ago. Son, I know you're upset. Don't call me son. You're not my father. Oh. I love this scene. This whole scene is just so good. And he goes on to ask him about, I put the fear of Batman into them. Isn't that what you do? Isn't that the point, to scare the monsters? The point is not to become one. I'll try to keep that in mind. Yeah, again, as I said last week, I'm so glad we're reading this all at once. Right. I am so glad I am not reading this on a month-to-month basis, because if I had to go to my comic shop and grab this issue and have to wait another month to see the conclusion, I would just go crazy.
But it's nice to see somebody call out Bruce. It takes a lot for somebody to call him out and call him out like directly at his heart.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he hits the nail almost perfectly on the head without knowing the full history of Batman.
Exactly,
But,
yeah.
I mean, Bruce, if everything was to be stripped away, Bruce really doesn't have anything personal staked in Batman. True. He really doesn't. Like, yes, he's got the Robin family, and he's got Batman Inc., and he's got the Justice League and the Holy Trinity, and all of that. But at the end of the day, Bruce doesn't have anybody personal except for Alfred that's at stake in this. And if Alfred's out of the game, he literally has lost anything personal to throw into it. Whereas with Luke, his whole family has just been affected.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of the fact that we just ended this and it seems like it's taken care of for now? Because the next issue basically this is, to me, this is like, I don't want to necessarily reference this, but I'm going to anyway. This, to me, this ending where Batwing says, I'll try to keep that in mind, is like Batman, Robin, and Batgirl running into the bat signal at the end of Batman and Robin. This, to me, feels like an ending, even though it's not the end. And then we go to the next issue where it's almost a one-shot.
Yeah, that was a little odd. But, what are you going to do, right?
And again, I'm sure it's editorial or something. Who knows? But, I mean, after I read to that point of the end of this last issue, I'm like, okay, sure, cool. Where do we go from here? Who knows? And then I started reading the Gruesome George story, and I'm like, okay, so it's of giving Batwing a breather from everything that just happened, but he still has to have some sort of adventure because, hello, this is an ongoing series that came out monthly, so we have to have something. And you get to be introduced to this character, Gruesome George, and I forget when this was originally published. It's somewhere between 2011 and 2014. I think it's probably the tail end of 2013, 2014. But Gruesome George reminds me of Bugs Bunny from the Looney Tunes show. In the Cartoon Network, the Looney Tunes show, there was an episode where Bugs ends up in jail. And he loves being in jail. And I'm like, oh, Gruesome George, Bugs Bunny. Kind of the same character here. A little bit. Not really. But I just thought that was hilarious that George loved being in jail.
I like that they made it an outlet for him. Versus it being like, oh, well, I'd rather not be in the real world. Or I can't function in the real world. It's not, it literally is. He cannot function out in normal society. He is so in his element when it comes to him being in jail. The violence, it's right there for him, and I love that they did that.
Yeah. And you have Batwing kind of stalking him. Again, you have Batwing using his invis mode. I love that so much. It's so cool. You have him tracking George and figuring out who he is and all of that and everything else, and he tries to talk to him. Doesn't go so well, but he tries. I just love the mystery of the whole thing. And then George turns himself into Batman? Ooh. This is yeah, kind of his hero, but and then go ahead.
I said creepy nevertheless.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean his overall Batman design is it's a very much a mismatch of various bat-like things.
Yeah.
They have, their fight, and Batwing kind of gets his ass handed to him a little bit. And then obviously he fights back. I mean, really, he does just want to help the guy. He's not trying to... obviously kill him or anything like that. He just wants to help him.
Right. I like that there's a line that really jumps out in this fight where it's Gruesome George, and he's like, I finally find my purpose. Why would you try and take that away from me?
Yeah, he does finally find his purpose, and oh boy, sadly what he does to those cops, though, oof, that's just rough. And that's how that one kind of ends. And I guess he's gonna go back to jail.
I would assume. Either that or the mental institution, even though that wasn't where he liked to be.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, that was interesting, seeing him at Arkham, and he doesn't like Arkham, even though it's, what it is, and he just prefers a regular old jail.
Well, and it kind of gives you a really good basis for what the difference between Arkham and Blackgate is.
Right.
So, I mean, I really liked that because he puts it into his own words, and I'm just paraphrasing at this point, but he talks about how he doesn't like being sedated all the time and unable to move and unable to have any kind of control, whereas in prison, that's all it was.
Yeah.
He was the big dog. He could do what he wanted, and that wasn't the case in Arkham. They just kept them all sedated. So I like that they get to show you that without actually showing you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How are you feeling about this kind of one-off Ed?
I mean, it was good. I mean, you got all your action ass-whoopery done in the last arc, and this one actually showed him being, having compassion for somebody that had a problem, and it wasn't necessarily just being a bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed that aspect of it, but technically this being the final issue of the series, it just kind of left me wanting. I mean, we just got done with a badass origin story for Luke, and
we do have one more. I mean,
yeah, it's the Future's End, though. So I mean,
it is the Future's End, but the Future's End one actually, like I mentioned earlier, at that point back when we were talking about Tam and all of that, that's the point where I started crying. Well, the Future's End one, out of all the Future's End stuff that they did at the time, I had never read the Future's End stuff. Like, I had read I think I read Batgirl Future's End or something. I hadn't read a lot of it. So, knowing that the Future's End one is the last one for this series, I mean, technically you're right. The Gruesome George one is the finale, but the Future's End one, Purpose, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
It's like Firefly and Serenity.
Kind of.
A little bit,
Firefly had that really abrupt end because it didn't get picked back up, and then because of the fan base, they had Serenity come out, which gave an actual ending to the Joss Whedon story. So, I mean, that's kind of like what this is. Yes, it ends abruptly with Gruesome George, which could have been the next send-up for a great arc, but instead of that, we get Future's End, which is an ending in itself.
Yeah, and it's a good one. Like, I was really, really digging this. Like, the whole, we open with Batwing on an adventure fighting some underground something or other. But I love that, again, you didn't have to, it's, as long as Jimmy and Justin are on it for the writing for Batwing, for this era of Batwing, I'm perfectly fine with it. And you still have the same, it's pretty much the entire team that had already been working on their run for the art. So, you open up with a badass Batwing fight, and then you go to the Fox family, and you go to Tiffany, and she wants to, you got the tickets for what? Oh, yes, this is going to be so cool. I have to get dressed. You're already dressed, Tiffany. Not to meet an astrophysicist, I'm not.
I love how the kid's the smartest person in the room most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this reminds me so much, and my mom always smoked my entire life. So when Luke asks his mom, so you started smoking, what's it look like? Like, I remember having this conversation with my mom all the time. You know, basically where Luke says, "Do you think killing yourself is going to make you feel better?" She just looks at him like, "You better shut up, boy."
Right. She's like, "I got a flip-flop about to throw at your head."
Uh-huh. Yep. And, you know, we talked earlier about the whole thing with Tanya and her emotions and how she handled the situation with Tam. And as Luke walks away, we see an up-close panel of her taking the cigarette out of her mouth and the tears in her eyes. And, oh, God.
Well, I mean, and for me, this one was, you get to see that she's very well aware that she's pushing her family, that her pain is literally causing her to lose her family.
Right.
She knows it. She's aware of it.
Right.
But you can tell, and these guys, is they're able to give you one panel, and it lets you know an entire story. Because you can just look at her and see that she knows this, that it's causing that much pain, but she can't do anything to stop it. She doesn't know how.
Yeah, and then we get to Luke and Tiffany going to the astrophysicist meetup or whatever it is. Luke, can we talk about, you know what? Okay, what's it like being a superhero? Not as much fun as you'd think. I didn't think it would be fun at all. This little girl is so smart.
Yeah.
She is a little bit ridiculously smart.
Yeah, she even says it. He says to her, "You're not even interested in being a kid, are you?" "I am, but I can't help being smart."
Right.
All right, she needs to be Robin. Let's do this.
That
But I
would
love
be interesting.
her answer.
Or I don't know what they would call Batwings Robin.
I have no idea. Mini wing. Barbecue wing.
Chicken wing.
Stop it.
It's buffalo wing.
Obviously, we're hungry. We apologize. But, I mean, I do. I love her answer because he's coming at it from a sense of, oh, you know, you must, if you're asking this, you must think that it's so cool and exciting. And this kid is so grounded.
Yeah.
That she is able to be like, no, I didn't think it would be fun at all. That's why I'm asking. I want to hear what it's like for you. That's just a real moment. That's one of those ones that make you absolutely love this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get to the science lecture, and being the man that he is, Luke's like, "She's a hot astrophysicist. A hot genius. Ew, don't objectify her." I just love this scene, and say what you will about the Future's End, whatever. This entire issue was so fun up until one scene. But we'll get to that. What about you? I like science, sure. My brother thinks you're hot. Seriously? You said it in private. I'm your wingman. You're 6. How do you know what that means? There's this thing called the internet. Yeah, it's I love it so much. So much.
Kids are smarter than the elders, and it's all because of the internet. I'm waiting on a hero to pop up and his name be Google. Yeah.
Yep.
My servers are awesome. Let's do this.
Yeah, and we get to the end of this. Give me your home number. I want to talk to your parents about an internship. Really? That's so cool. I can't believe you did that. It was good for you. Embarrassment helps build character. And it's true. You're still mad at Dad and refusing to grow up. It's not happening, kids. Someone who sits in a booster seat is not lecturing me about life. No way. Sorry. Just stop. You can only analyze so much. I love you, Tiff, and you're a smart kid. But there are things that happen in life, experiences that inform your decisions. What happens between us or in the family isn't something you just blurt out to strangers. I'm sorry. It's okay. I know you didn't mean any harm. You want me to get some ice cream? Of course. That's what I love about Tiffany is, yes, she is a kid, but she is also this gene. Like, you're not expecting those lines to come out of a kid character.
Right.
Not most of them. What happens next? We get to the point of... Wait. Oh, they did a car crash thing. They pulled a person of interest move with the giant truck that hit their car, and they're okay, but she's hurting a little bit. He's going to take her home safe and sound, and he's going to go after the bad guys. Oh boy, setting up another arc here. I was not expecting this midsection of this issue at all. Going after the gang members thing, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this at all. I enjoy it. I think it's great, again, because we get to see Luke's internal monologue and how he's finding these people, and now he's saving these hostages. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that because, I mean, even he was saying that, he hadn't saved anybody lately, and, he needed that pick-me-up, for lack of a better term.
Yep. And then the Future's End story was not the one that I thought was going to give me that twinge of pain from the storytelling, and that actually happens in the next one. Because as I'm going through this, I'm like, wow, this isn't over yet. Holy crap, this is still going on. But no, everything that they've done to this point. I mean, to the end of this current issue, before we get into the Leviathan stuff, it's like, wow, just wow. He had to save somebody, and he did, and that's kind of how that one ends. And we pick up with Leviathan, and I love Dan Panosian's art on this cover with Batwing and the whole W thing and the bats all around him. I think that is a super cool cover. And we're talking 5 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, this was just a little strange for me. I was like, wait a minute, 5 years from now. Of course, at this point, that was 6 years ago.
Oh, that was a moving cover, okay.
Yeah. Hey, at least we have some old friends in here with Lion Mane and Wood Ape and a bunch of other people.
His gallery of villains.
I don't even think he faced half these people. Like,
right?
Pitbull and, okay, Charlie Kalia, he did. But Tokyo Mecha Stomp, I don't remember that. Marabunta Queen, I do. Father Gun, I don't. Cat and Mouse. For a second there, I thought those were two Silverhawks characters with the way that they look. Because the way their suits are.
Well, and the Mechatech people are the ones he ticks off at the beginning of this one, aren't they?
Oh, that's right. Yes. That is right. Yeah.
I want to point out too that I love how his suit at the beginning of it, I think it's his suit, looks like the Outsider suit from the Return of Bruce Wayne storyline after he died.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, does it have all the League's powers too? Let's do this. Get trounced.
Yep. And the whole, I don't want to say necessarily midsection of this, but almost all of this after the opening part is all villain stuff until they realize it's a trap. You're a bright puppy, Pitbull.
Right? Where's Akbar when you need him?
It's a
right?
trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah, I love how they did this. How it's all a Batman Incorporated adventure, and the fact that this other dude is actually wow. Yeah, I was not expecting this at all, but this is so cool and fun and interesting to me. What about y'all? How are y'all feeling about the Leviathan issue?
I'm depressed.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, okay, so going back and going through all this, and obviously hearing your excitement as well as ours, it just makes me that much sadder knowing that this was it. This was the complete ending for it. Yeah, I get that. He gives a pretty decent ending, but like I said before, with the whole thing with Tamara and Tiffany, I mean, it feels like there was so much content that could have been fleshed out. There were so many stories that could have been told, and then we're just left with this one great last escapade and a farewell to the Fox family at this point in time. So it's just depressing.
A little bit.
It's got to be the only time I've seen in a while anyway. I'm sure it happens, but it doesn't happen very often. But close to the end of this issue, I'm proud. You all made the world a safer place. Batman out. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't say that very often. They're like, that's it? A man of few words. You're not kidding. I'm proud of us too. None of us is in this for the applause. You did great work. Take a few weeks for yourselves. I mean it. Reconnect with your loved ones. And then we get to the page that I was not expecting.
Yep.
I did not think, like, they don't necessarily kill her. They did, but they didn't. But I mean, we've already been set up with the fact that she would need lifelong care, and the fact that this is 5 years in the future, or 5 years after the events of what happened with Menace, seeing Luke at the cemetery talking to Tam at her gravesite, just
Depressing, see? Further proving Kendra's point.
It is depressing, but it's such... I'm glad it's an ending at the point that it ended, because if it wasn't and they left us with some sort of Batman, or he's not Batman, he's Batwing. Jesus, if they had left us with something like, oh, Batwing will be back, or oh, Batwing is gonna press on, into the far-flung future, whatever, yada yada yada. Well, I would want to then be reading more Jimmy and Justin stuff. So I'm it sucks that she died, but I'm kind of glad that we return it at the end of the series, at the end of the New 52. We return it to the family. We have no other tragedy, at least in this storyline, for the Fox family. And it's just them at the gravesite of their daughter and, their sister. That is such a heart-wrenching but good ending, I think.
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, like I said, it just makes me sad that there's not more.
Right.
Because it further drives home that punch now that we have Tamara having passed. But,
Yeah.
and we don't really know when. And I escaped the gravestone, so I don't know exactly how long it took for her to pass. But, I mean, I like the fact that at the end of this, it shows the family all together. That they genuinely want to work on being a family again. And that is where it is left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least it's not like The Sopranos ending or, Lost, where it just... What?
Just happened.
At least they gave us, it was a justified ending. It was a nice way for the creators, I guess, to say goodbye to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So good. Yeah. Go ahead, what did you say?
I said, so tell us how you really feel, Mike.
Hey, you know what?
Was it good?
Of course it was. It's just one of those things where, I read a lot of the New 52 stuff, but I read a lot of the Bat stuff. Obviously I hadn't caught this until now, but it's like, I fell out of it after a while, and the only DC character I've really kept up with religiously is whatever they're doing with Batman Beyond. And I want to eventually get back into more DC stuff and see how good these stories are, because, they are. And it's just, that's why I like doing the whole, I just read this at 5 a.m., and now we're recording this at, 6 p.m., at least my time anyway. But it's one of those things where it's like, first reactions to me are always the best. None of us had read either of these last week or this week. None of us had read it. And I think that's great, because you don't necessarily have someone, I can't wait to see how you react to this, because I already know what's going on, kind of thing. Right. And I know that's not always going to happen. I mean, unless we're all just doing new Batman stuff for Future State or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Future State.
Why couldn't it just be the new 102 or something, or whatever? I don't know. Ed, any final thoughts on this or anything else you want to bring up before I send it over to your lovely wife for her final thoughts?
I mean, like you said, it was something that I hadn't read until, you brought up doing this podcast. And, I mean, at first it kind of drug along, and, I was trying to get used to everything going on in it. But by the end, with this particular volume of it, was just great. I mean, the story had a lot of great beats, really, hit you in the feels in a couple places, and, made you actually enjoy the character. And it was sad to see it end.
Absolutely.
And now I'll send it over to my lovely wife.
I gotta say, this was one that I was not ready for, and I think, if I'm really, really honest, this was the most in the New 52 that I actually read. Because I copped out after Wonder Woman, so. But it was nice. I mean, when you had brought it up, I was like, okay, this isn't something that we've read. It wasn't even something, honestly, that was on my radar. And after reading it, I'm mad. Because it was brilliant. I enjoyed every bit of it. And like he said, I'm sad. I'm sad to see it end, because I feel like, well, yes, we got an ending. I want more.
Yeah.
I want more from the Fox family. I want to be able to see more of this Batwing character, because it was really and truly interesting.
Yeah.
It gave a side to, the Batman that we don't normally get to see. And that is the side that is with him having as minimalistic as possible.
Yeah.
Because we got to see him let Batwing have the training wheels for like a few issues, and then it was gone. And he was just one of these like in the earpiece characters.
Yeah, he only showed up a few times for the team-ups. I think one of my favorite panels is from the last trade, where he's like, turn on your voice modulation. I don't want Lucius Fox figuring out who you are. He goes, if my dad figures out who I am, he's probably not going to make toys for you anymore.
Right.
I love that so much. And honestly, the main reason why I wanted us to do this is because I know you guys are fans of Jimmy Palmiotti, and I am too now. I mean, not that I wasn't a fan of the guy before. I hadn't read his stuff before. But I wanted these two trades, last week and this week, to be the first Palmiotti thing we covered on the podcast, because the next Palmiotti thing I end up covering on the show, whether it's with you guys or somebody else, is a creator-owned Kickstarter thing he did with Dave Johnson called Pop Kill. And that'll be coming sometime in February, and Pop Kill is amazing. It's so good, and it's so fun. So, that's going to do it for this episode. I actually don't know what episode 395 is going to be. I'm probably going to have my good buddy TV's Mr. Neil redo art if I can't get what I want to get scheduled. However, episode 395 comes out the Wednesday. Actually, it comes out on Inauguration Day. And the reason why I'm laughing at this is because a friend of mine, Nicole, this is a different Hale, Nicole D. Hale and I had done this series called Dave by Ryan Ferrier a few years ago. And we had covered the first two things that he had done in this creator-owned series, but he has another thing that's it's old now. It came out. When did it come out? It came out in 2017, so 4 years old at this point. But it's called Davocracy. After conquering Earth and its greatest robot war hero, saving it from invading aliens, Dave's next campaign gets political. In the wake of robo-political assassination, Dave begins a presidential campaign. A hip new app startup has other plans for the robot society, however, and creates the perfect political rival. So basically, because, January 20th is Inauguration Day, and we've kicked out Agent Orange, thank God. I wanted my friend Nicole and I to do Davocracy from Ryan Ferrier. So that may be episode 395. I may have to scramble and come up with something else if we can't get it scheduled. But it's a fun character and a fun series. What have you guys got going on? Ed, what are you up to? What are you reading? What are you doing lately?
Reading whatever I can get my hands on, basically, especially if it's DC Comics. Just finished putting together my Dark Knight's Metal Trade collection, so I feel spiffy about that.
Cool.
Beyond that, nothing really. Playing games, reading comics, being a nerd.
There you go.
Being disappointed when I go to Target and they won't sell me something.
Dinner boots.
You have no idea.
I know.
What about you, Kendra? What are you up to? What do you got to promote around here?
What do I not do? I mean, honestly, there's a ton going on right now in the Kendra Hale world. I mean, I've got the news and reviews that I do for Dark Knight News and DC Comics News. I've got a couple writings coming up. Working with Billy Crooks on a series called Chaos Witch Epic. I mean, I got my hands in a lot of pots. I mean,
a lot of hands.
I not only cover DC now, but I do reviews for Image and for Boom Studios, for Ahoy. I mean, there's so much that is out there right now that is absolutely beautiful. One of the ones I'm working on currently that is an absolute favorite of mine is Ice Cream Man. And I'm loving every single moment of that series. So those reviews will be coming soon. So I mean that's really the biggest stuff that I'm up to currently.
Awesome. Here's a little sneak peek for you folks who enjoy this podcast, and for those that don't enjoy it as well. Why you wouldn't enjoy it and be listening to this, I don't know. But coming up this Christmas, unless I do something really wacky and weird and run this show daily and do 90 Days of Nightwing or something, I have a plan for Christmas this year coming up in 2021. Episode 441 to 445, Ice Cream Man Volumes 1 through 5.
Is that an invitation?
Of course.
I have to honestly say I would be so disrespected if I wasn't invited.
Well, you're the first one that told me about this thing, so I'm like,
oh my gosh, I can't wait. Yeah. Have you read any of it yet?
No, I can't. I haven't been able to buy the trades yet.
I know we just talked about how we like doing first reacts, and I'm like a total hypocrite in this pot right now, but
it's okay.
I really cannot wait because this series shook me. Like, I mean, it shook me. I'd heard about it for forever, and I'd never picked up it. And all it took was the first issue, and I was like, oh, this is where I've needed to be my whole life. So it is absolutely brilliant. I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah. All right, I think we're going to get the heck out of here. So where can the people find you online, Ed, besides in the bathroom?
Instagram at the Sith Rules, Twitch at Sith Rules Ed, YouTube, especially if you're into, video games or whatever, stream all that stuff. And on Facebook, Edward Hale. Look me up, send me a request.
Cool. What about you, Kendra? Where can people find all of your stuff that you do?
Probably the easiest place is Twitter. I'm at Devour All Words. I can also be found on Instagram at InkstraC and on DarkKnightNews.com, DCComicNews.com, FantasticUniverses.com, GothicBiteMagazine.com. Just Google me.
She said Google, not Oogle, folks.
Google. Google. Google.
Yep. That's right. All right. You can find me at TF2 and Mike on Twitter. You can also find the podcast on Twitter and Facebook and all that other good stuff. Obviously, GeekCastRadio.com. Make your great escape to comics, and I will catch you next time when we will either be doing Daveocracy or something else. I have no idea. It just depends on scheduling. But the end of the month, my buddy JT is going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking about Batman Beyond Rebirth, Volume 6, Divide, Conquer, and Kill in Episode 396 of the show.
Oh, yes, but think of the fun.
We're just making our way to 400 episodes, folks, coming up this March for our 8th year anniversary. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time here inside the Pull Bag.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, GeekCastRadio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, Facebook.com/ThePullBag. Send us an email, feedback at GeekCastRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at ThePullBag and at GeekCastRadio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.